Okay, so who wants to go first? You can raise your hand, type your question, unmute yourself, all that. Right, and if there are no questions, then we will just get to wrap up early.
I just want to have questions if you don't mind, but
yes,
I rather just let you know it will take time to type. So we do have 3 keys, like active listening, empathy with the person, and empowerment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you give us as an example 3 cases, and I just put myself in their shoes because I do have actually one of the case.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, he's hiding. He doesn't like to tell his parents. And of course, alcohol is one part of it. It's like a religion for them to drink with the parents. And the other one, he will be kicked out, right? So, of course, I am listening to his issue. And I feel so sorry for him if he will be kicked out because there is no another shelter for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
The empowerment that I need to give him when you tell him, like, okay, yes, you tell him, I know it's not easy, it's hard, but just pray, ask Allah. He's not even praying. He just convinced that Islam is the best, right? But for now, I don't know how to implement all these 3 technical on him. So you know what I mean? So what can I do?
Okay, great. So again, so you, as you said, like, so in this scenario, let's say if you came up with this thing, right? So you want to listen, right? And we'll just do a role play, for example, right? And in this scenario, it was like, okay, you know what, brother, I understand that you are going through these challenges, and look, thank you for sharing this with me. And I can only try to understand because, you know, I'm not in this scenario, so I'm not going to claim that I fully understand your challenge, but I think I have some appreciation of the challenge that you're going through. And I would also like to say that, look, you know, this life is temporary and Allah will reward you for your efforts. So Allah sees the challenges that you're going through and Allah will reward you for this effort. And also to motivate you, my brother, like just also take a look at other people that are also going through challenges like this, which are similar or even, you know, tougher, right? So, and then I may just like share, for example, what's happening in other places in the world and whatnot, and how people are having, you know, different types of challenges to be able to maintain their religion and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, in terms of what do we want to do about it? Right. So the point, you know, as we have always talked about, my brother, is that we can do, if we can't do everything, that means that we shouldn't stop doing something. Right. So go ahead.
No, I'm listening. Yes, we cannot do anything because he will depend on us to help him always.
No, yeah. So right now I'm just having a conversation with you. Like, let's say we're doing a role play, right? So you are that person who is going through this challenge, and I'm having a conversation with you. So then my question would be that, okay, well, so what do you want to do, right? So do you want to deal with this situation right now, or do you want to do what you can do without, you know, without telling your parents, without dealing with this situation? You can still do a lot more while you're living with them, while you haven't told them, right? So you can perform at least one prayer at the masjid. So right now I have a brother who actually has similar situation, right? He lives with his parents. They don't like him to pray and whatnot. So for example, right now, so this is exactly the conversation I've had. Look, if you want to take that step and you want to deal with it, we can talk about it. But if you don't want to deal with it, then, you know, let's try to figure out what you can do while you are living with them. Because my point, the conversation I've had with them is that, look, right now the problem is, how do you practice Islam? How do you develop your connection and knowledge about Islam without having a confrontation with your parents? Okay. Once you have that confrontation, then you'll have to deal with that confrontation. So I don't know if you're ready for that or not, right? What I don't want that to happen is that if you do that confrontation and then it becomes too much for you and then you just quit everything. So that will be a greater harm, right? So we want to minimize harm. So if you are ready about it, right? So we want to, find the greater good and minimize harm. If you're ready to deal with it, then we can discuss options. But if you don't want to deal with it, then let's take a look at what are some of the basic things that you can do while you're living with them. And the goal would be that as you do those things, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah the Magnificent, will become a higher priority for you that will enable you to please Him, and that will help you to have less fear of the creation. But right now, perhaps we are not at that stage. So let's do some basic things that will help you get there. The second thing that can also happen is right now, the most important people for you is your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't support your religion. So as you do these activities, the basics that we'll talk about, and as you come more to the masjid or you go more to social events, then you will also help build this community support and group of friends and or the members in the community. So you will feel more empowered that, look, I have this group that love me for who I am, that support me in my decision for being Muslim. So all these things will make you stronger, and that can make it easier for you to deal with this situation. But coming back to your point, just because you have this challenge doesn't mean that you cannot do any learning, right? I mean, there are people who are living with their parents and they do all sorts of learning. They still watch videos. You can do online learning. You can come to the masjid once a week. You can come to the masjid a few times a day. This person that I'm talking about, he would come, for example, for Friday prayers. It took him a few weeks, few months before he came for his first Friday prayer. But we would just do this online calls. He would study with us Quran, reflections, and so on and so forth. And then when he started going to college, so other thing I did was, he was shy. So I contacted his MSA, and I found some brothers that can actually connect with him. So they met him at the college. They showed him where the Muslim brothers and sisters pray on campus. So he can now start having this community.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Anybody else would like to comment? Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I think that's great. Thank you.
Zubair, this is Nihal again.
Mm-hmm.
My question is a little bit beside the point what we are discussing right now. I think since this is the last, the module, and you are about to finish it, I have been dealing with the mentees. Right now I have one who lives in Orlando, and I live here in close to Washington, D.C. in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not been very, active from the perspective of knowing every ICNA, centers in different cities, even though I've been involved with the ICNA since 1972.
Mm-hmm.
I've been just member, and originally I was very active. Now I am with Masajid, so it is not that active from the perspective of keeping track of all the information. So what I'm asking you, do you think you can help me or suggest to me, how do I find a proper masjid in Orlando, which can be helpful to him? Because what I want to do is to call the imam and ensure that when he goes to that masjid, at least he has a reception, rather than just going, blind or not.
Yes.
People not knowing, they sometimes may mistreat him or do something which I don't want, because this
Great.
is a wise person, and he's coming out of very bad habits. He was in jail where he picked up Islam. So I'm very careful about him being treated by anybody who can do something harm. So understanding that part, can you help me?
Yes.
How do because I've been getting people in the, way distant places from the town, or where a masjid could be, or, like in Texas, like in Florida, I had somebody in the Midwest. And so it is difficult for me to go there myself, but at least I need someone to give me an idea.
Sure.
That how to proceed in this case.
Yes, inshallah. I think the question is clear. It's something that, happens a lot. right? And I have like experience with that. We have mentored new Muslims remotely. So there's three different ways, right? One is obviously you will make attempt, and I'll share with you some ways to make attempts. And then the second thing is to empower the new Muslim himself or herself. That look, my brother, look, my sister, like, let's use Google. Let's try to find out what's the closest massages to you, right? So you're empowering them. That does not necessarily mean that empowerment means like, obviously you're working on their motivation. So you have to help them realize that it is important for them to get to the masjid, for them to go to, to people around them. Okay. So imagine, if you are coaching someone who wants to change their physical health. So you say, look, you know what, you can obviously do your exercise by yourself, but if you go to a gym, if you work with a teacher, it will make your productivity much more faster. Okay, so let's work together. What will you do? You will try to go online. You'll try to find some gyms around you. You might check out their reviews. You might go to one gym. You may not like it. Then you may go to another gym that you would probably love it. So that's one part of it, is to empower them that, look, I'm not living in Florida. I'm not living in Orlando. So I want you to, work with me, and let's try to find a list of 4 or 5 masajid, and let's have a goal. This week you will check this masjid, next week you will check this masjid, and so on and so forth. So that is passing some responsibility and coaching to them. And on the other hand, what I also do, and if you can email me
and that part.
Yes,
that
good.
He and I both are looking, but not knowing which one for him to just go. He will go because he is very active in pursuing what he's looking for.
Okay, so you found something close by, like 10, 15, 20 minutes from him, or what?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay. So if it does not exist, then it's a different problem,
No,
right? So if
it's in Orlando, so I'm sure there are a bunch of massages there.
no, so how are you searching? So what I do, I don't know if you know. So basically, if you go on maps.google.com, right, and then you put in his address or his major intersection, then and you can reach out to me. I can also search for. Actually, we can do it right now. Let me show you. So
I do that. What I'm asking you is simple. That if you know from the ICNA perspective.
No, so I will have to ask them, right? So that's the second thing we can do, is we can email ICNA, we can email Islam. But I'm saying if Google is not showing you that there is any masjid, then
no, there are masajid. That's not the question. Question is, how do I recommend him the proper, because he's looking for it himself.
Okay, good. All right, good. So yes, so now we are going.
He is just like a disabled person. And he cannot drive himself, so he has to take buses, and so it's a difficult task for him to reach to the masjid.
Got it.
So that's why I was thinking that if I knew somebody over there from the ICNA perspective, he or she can recommend me basically which is the best way to approach there in proper Orlando city.
Right. So, okay. So this is what I would do, right? And people can have different approaches, right? So what I would do is like, I would start with the 3 or 4 masjids that Google have already told you about, right? And we will come to the ICNA part as well in a second. And what I would try to do is I'll go on their website and see, like, sometimes the website will give you a feel of like how active they are and what's not. Then I would either ask him to contact the masjid or contact those masajid myself, either the phone or the email. And I know that many masajids are not active with that, and try to see if I can find a contact for that. The second thing that I've done actually is, which I found to be more productive in, to be honest, right? Because, and not to blame anyone, because the masajids, maybe they are, the imams and the administration are so busy with so many things, maybe they don't have time to respond and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, many times we don't get a response. So what I try to do is I would try to find a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group. And I know that may not be the best, but it works. Okay. And then I go, like, for example, I would put a message there that I say, hey, I have a new Muslim. If someone lives around this masjid, I would like them to accompany this new Muslim in the masjid, show them around, make them feel welcome. So that's what I do, right? So for example, right now I'm in Toronto. We have a suburb like 40 minutes from here, Mississauga. I had a brother who was converted, so I wanted to find him something in Mississauga. So I posted on a group, and I found 2 or 3 brothers who go to the masjid that he goes to, and I connected them. So what I will do in the WhatsApp group or the Facebook, that, hey, this is what I'm looking for exactly. If you can do it, reach out to me via WhatsApp or putting your contact information. And usually people would reach out, and then you can have a gauge, if that's the right person or not, and then connect them together. The third thing that we can do is we can send me an email, or maybe copy 𝘂𝘂Islam as well. I'm not sure if any admin is online at the moment, and we can see if there's something from 𝘂𝘂Islam or ICNA network that can facilitate in that space. But if not, then we can still try these two approaches, which is to use the local groups to find someone who lives in that city, and
So you're suggesting that I should look at the WhatsApp and the Facebook. Unfortunately, I don't use either. So I
no, that's fine. Right. So this is where your other, so for example, right now we are the community of coaches, right? So inshallah, if you reach out to me, I can then, put in some of the groups that I'm connected in, right? And then we start with what's available to us, and hopefully someone else will know someone, and then we can have that connection, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Jazakallah khairan. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, if not, then we can wrap up, inshallah. But thank you so much, everyone, for your participation. Hopefully you will take action. If you are already mentoring, perhaps some of this was useful to you to try some of the new things. If you are not mentoring yet, I would highly recommend you to start doing that, consider doing it, or at least share with other people who might be also a good fit. And as we discussed, right, like, look, even if everybody puts in half an hour, 45 minutes a week, we can cover a whole lot of mentors, right? So you become responsible for 2 or 3, as Brother Nehal was talking, he can be responsible for a few, Sister Rida can be responsible for a few, and as a team, we can cover hundreds of new Muslims, inshallah ta'ala. Once again, thank you so much. Jazakumullah khairan. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.